Hello and welcome. Today, or yesterday by the time I post this, was the qualifier for the Microsoft Excel World Championships 2025. Using this case, the number one fan by Andrew Grigalinovich. Same as he's done the last few years, he took 5 old cases and remixed them into 5 independent levels. But this time, because it's 5 years of Excel esports, there's one case from each of the last 5 years. There was a morning and an afternoon session. I haven't looked at the morning session yet. I played live for the afternoon one, so I didn't record my live attempt as I usually do. So now I'm going to try and walk you through roughly what I did. So I guess we had like the video in advance, so we knew which cases were coming. That's borderline completely irrelevant. And then we also had like a minute to look at the case beforehand. So I knew from last year that I had been locked out of a couple of the bonuses quite early on, like in the first 45 seconds or so last year. So I knew I was going to be going for the bonuses right away. I looked at these, and they all looked like independent of the level logic, and most of them, except this one is a little more complicated, but most of them looked quite quick. Yeah, I was focused on getting into those right away. So anyway, I guess, so for Fun City, we had this Fun City map. You may remember it from traumatic past experiences. And it asked about how many cars are there using trucks, ride-sharing cars, and regular cars. For the one about laundry time, it asked about how many t-shirts appear in all the piles. And again, t-shirt is just a T, so that's a simple count occurrences. How many chess pieces in total are on the 100 by 100 board? Again, pretty basic. The one thing, I had a slight edge here because of the mistake that tripped me up before, which is the empty cells on the chessboard. Last time round, and indeed it was the case again this time round, were not in fact empty. They were a space, which is why when you control control arrow or control shift arrow, it goes all the way to the end of the board. It doesn't stop at the blank spaces. So I probably had a second of edge on that one. And then smallest sum on a 3-brick sequence on the same row. So in other words, a sequence like this or a sequence like this. Anyway, enough yak. This is pretty much exactly where I started. So they said 3, 2, 1, go. So first things first, sum count ifs. And often the first thing I will do is name some ranges, but in this case I did not feel like I had that much time on my hands. So, oops, home end. So that's that. What? What on earth? Oh, hang on. Sorry, is there a copy of the legend here? Yeah, okay, so I was a little more careful about going just to the end of the range here. So BN71. I have counted the legend. That's the kind of thing that'll kill you. Anyway, good thing I didn't do that earlier. So then, this is where I imported my lambdas. And then I can use my count awk, which is just len minus len substitute. So we're going to concat all of the laundry piles, not including the example, together, and count how many t's are in that. That's that one. How many chess pieces are on the board? So that's just count ifs. The chessboard, which is here to here, but again, dropping out the labels, I just did how many are not space. That worked. Smallest sum of numbers on a 3-brick sequence. I realized later that I did this one in an overly convoluted way, but I'll show you what I did anyway. I did by row, the version of by row that is more flexible. Not all the way down, thank you. Just down to there. Then I did lambda row to row of row by 3. One more. No, don't accept the correction because then it'll put a star in front of custom lambda, and that just flattens out each row. And then I just took 2 columns less than this and did some of that and fill that into each of them. And then the question was the minimum, which is 128, but I think I just did it like this with my robot command, paste with function, min. Okay, and then if you count bananas from all the odd rows, 1, 3, 5, etc., and the snowflakes from all the even rows, then subtract the count of snowmen from the rows that can be divided by 7, so that the remainder is 0. What's the result? Now, at this point, I did start naming things, so I'm just going to name a random snowman S, name a random banana B, and name a random ice thing I. And then I'm also going to name this whole map Lake And then I did this in a bunch of extra calculations, but I think you can just do it as a by row. So we'll say by row of lake lambda row, and we'll say if is odd, not is or is odd, row of at row, then countifs row banana. Otherwise, it's even, so we're going to count the snowflakes. I call those I for icicle, not to mix up with snowman. And then plus, why are these brackets not colored in? Come on, there we go. Plus if mod row of at row 7 equals 0, then minus countifs row snowman, otherwise 0. So we do that for each row, and then we sum. And hopefully that'll work. And it does. Much neater than what I did earlier. Okay, so then we go on to the levels. This one I actually took my answers and pasted them in the platform before I realized anything was wrong. I should say, like, the style of solving when you're on the live stream and you get, like on the bonuses, you get feedback on whether you've got them right or not. On the levels, you get feedback on the total number of points you've got. So like if you get, if it says you've got, whatever, this is 1300. If it says you got 1300 out of 1300, everything is right and you move on. If it says 0, everything is wrong. If it says something in between, you've got some edge cases or whatever. But it does encourage a much more like reckless style of solving. So anyway, for these, I just did 2ref of all of these on this. It's just my lambda that's similar to an indirect, except I then took all these icons, pasted them into the platform. It said everything was wrong. I was like, oh, maybe I copied the wrong section, did it again. Like the answer up here is plainly in text. So anyway, at some point I realized that that's not right, and I had to convert it. Again, I think it's the kind of thing I would probably, like, just checking you match the example is the kind of minimal sense check that you do when you're, playing without feedback, but you just, maybe it's not worth it when you're playing with feedback, because you can just find out if you've got it right or not. Anyway, okay, so in this one, laundry piles, just like in the original laundry time, so each letter is an item of clothing, but this time each item has a certain weight. So I can just say count awk of this by each of these, and that will tell me how many of each item of clothing occurs in there. So there's 8 socks and 13 shoes and so on down, and then we can just multiply that by the weights, which is here. And sorry, I need to lock both of these references and then just sum that up. And that's that. Pretty straightforward. Okay, section 3. This one made me a little unhappy, especially after I watched Hayden's very neat solve of this, because I wanted to be able, so I have my, let's just go name the board, which I did earlier also. So come down to here and just name it BRD. So I have my 2ref that will turn this into a reference on the board. And that's just an empty cell, which is fine. And it'll turn that into a reference on the board. And so I wanted to be able to just take the 2 and put a colon in between like that, but it didn't work, which made me a little bit sad. And I might actually just take a brief detour here to see if I can fix my lambda to make it do that, because that would be helpful. I have looked at this before. Clip result. I think the magic bit might be this. So I have a function that I call at, which is just a way of dealing with the distinction between single values and an array of a single value. And it basically just says count how many rows there are, count how many columns there are, and if the answer is just 1 row and 1 column, then at it, so that you get only the first element. If I do that and save lambda, if it takes more than this, then I'm not going to do it now. I'll just leave it to the next lambda lab, but let's see if that is enough. J, no, it's not. All right, fine. Then I'll leave it for now. So what I did on the day was just swallow my pride. On the day was today. But anyway, I hate using indirect, but I did it anyway because sometimes you just gotta do something and get on. So I said indirect of that and I-165 and colon, no, colon, and J165. And that gives me the range from A2 to B5. And then we can XLOOKUP that in the list of pieces, lock returning from the list of points, lock exact match or, sorry, not exact match or anything, if not found 0, and then sum those up. And that is the point value of those. And I thought I'd have to write a slightly different style of formula for the rows and the columns, but it turns out the rows and the columns are both given in the format from to, and so that same formula works for rows, columns, and rectangles, which just leaves you with this thing which they called a circle, but is not in fact a circle at all. It's just a rotated square, or a kite, or whatever less confusing name you might want to come up with. So I originally solved this as a circle, and since it's not really any different from my lambda, I'll show you that, but it did then say circles include all the cells that are within X number of cells from the center going horizontally, vertically. X is the radius. It did, I think it's somewhere specified something about not being able to move diagonals. Did it? Oh, if it did, I can't find it. Anyway, okay. Doesn't matter. So I have this handy maprc function. So if I just give it something like this, it'll just list out, these are all the things on the board. It does all 10,000 because these are not proper blanks, but that's fine. It gives the address and it gives the row column reference code, so just a million times the row number plus the column number. But if I give it an optional argument for a starting address, and if I give it a distance function, so what function of the row difference and the column difference gives you the distance, which in the case of this distance is just the sum. So in other words, if you're 2 steps up and 1 step out, then your distance is 3. Then it does the same thing, but instead of giving me a row column reference here, it gives me the distance to that cell and sorts it by that. So in other words, we're starting on E5, so that's a distance of 0. Here's all the things that are at a distance of 1. Here's all the things that are at a distance of 2, and so on. So having got that, I can say just let A be that, and I want to sum of XLOOKUP. So I want to take the first column of A and XLOOKUP that in wherever I did my other XLOOKUPs here, lock returning from, returning from here, lock, sorry, if not found 0, times take a last column is less than or equal to this radius here. Close the sum, close the let. And sure enough, that gives the 32. And sorry, I said I had done this wrong the first time around. So if you think of it as like an actual circle, like Pythagorean distance, then in my lambda, that just means you have to, instead of putting sum here, you have to put dist pythag. So I did that. It said 34. This was supposed to be 32. So then I went and read the question. Terrible thing to make me do. And that got me that. All right. Happy days. Okay, section 4. What was this one about? Oh yeah, so you had to figure out the values to the left and right of the brick. So similar again, I used my maprc. Sorry, I've still got Karnak on from earlier on my not that big screen. It's quite distracting sometimes, but never mind. So maprc of all of this down to here, and that just flattens it out. So these are the numbers, the addresses, and the row column reference codes. So I'm interested in getting from here, I'll just VLOOKUP, stick it to the haters every now and again just for fun. Elliot, I hope you're watching. That'll give me the row column reference code for brick 44, and then the important thing to keep in mind here is that each of these is 2 merged cells. So the one to the left is 2 to the left, and the one to the right is 2 to the right. And since my row column reference codes just involve -1 for a step to the left and +1 for a step to the right, I just have to add -2 and 2. That gives me those 2 locations. Then I XLOOKUP sorry, yeah, XLOOKUP those, because I'm now going right to left, in here, lock, returning from here, lock, we're say if not found 0, and then sum. And it occurs to me as I say if not found 0 out loud that I should have probably not done the if not found 0 so that it would tell me if I tried, if any of these was out of bounds, because that would prompt me to go and look at the instructions and see if there was an out of bounds exception rule. But anyway, there's not, so paste those in there. Okay, pause for a slight distraction there. There was nothing to do with the case. Oh yes, fabulous. We're on to level 5. Okay, so the directions for level 5 are quite complicated. The thing that's most conceptually tricky is that there's a distinction between sort of moves and turns, and in my mind also steps. So, you know, a move could be something like move northwest 10 times. So then you will take 10 turns, each of which is move northwest. But then on any one of those turns, you might take multiple steps because your speed can be adjusted upwards. So like if you have a speed of 5, and one turn within a move is to go northwest once, then you'll go northwest 5 times and hit 5 different cells. So that's a little confusing, but it's fine. So I went straight for a model on this one, and I'm going to do the same again because some people did attempt at single cell, and they're brave people, and I didn't, and didn't even think about attempting at single cell, and I'm a pretty single cell liking guy, but anyway. Okay, so that's the starting cell, and then let's come over here, and we want to go from I to O for these. Let's take I to O. So the first thing I did with this was basically blow this up into one step per turn. This is actually a lambda that I have on my list for the lambda lab at some point, to like take something like, you know, arrow 10 or northwest 10 and turn that into arrow, or northwest. But anyway, I just did it on the fly today. So I did it using the bycall function. I said lambda CL, just if sequence regex extract, sorry, not that, I made that same mistake earlier today. I referenced the range instead of the variable name for the bycall, but anyway, extract from that d plus. So in other words, get the digit out of that, take a sequence of that many things, and then if that, then just replace, we can regex extract, I guess, from CL slash PL plus, which will give me letters. Close brackets a bunch of times, and that gives me this. So then I'm going to say let, I'll call that x per expanded, be that. Then I want to know the move, the turn, and the direction. So we're going to say hstack. So I have this function called flatten, which will it's basically designed for flattening headers in an unpivot situation. So we're going to say flatten. The condition is exp, I guess is text exp. And if that condition is true, then we're going to flatten sequence, comma 7. So that's one thing. Wait, my brackets are not matching up here. There we go. So that's the first thing. Then we're also going to flatten. If that is true, then sequence of, oh, this is getting a little complex, but okay, max of regex extract from here slash d plus times 1, and then to call exp 3 to ignore errors, and 1 to scan by column. That gives me a value error. Oh dear. Okay. All right, I guess let's take these one by one. Call this out. I'm expecting an issue with this because I had an issue with it earlier, but oh wait, this still thinks we're in flatten, so it's probably the issue is a missing closing bracket. So let's see, regex extract max sequence, yes. So we're missing a closing bracket there. And then maybe we don't need anything else. There we go. That almost works, except it doesn't, because so I wrote this flattened function, obviously taking advantage of toCall, but toCall has an optional argument, not here, sorry, here, an optional argument to scan by column, which I failed to enable. So I think this is the only place in this file that I've used flatten, so I'm just going to change the lambda for now. Obviously, it has to go on my list for the lambda lab to fix that later. But so now we have all 1s here, and then 1 to 10 here. We have all 2s here, and 1 to 4, and so on. So this is our move. This is our turn. This is our direction, and then our RC code is just going to be 2RC of this. Using a custom set of directions, which is north, south, east, west. I just added that in the Lambda lab on Friday. Okay, so that's all that. Then I just need my ending position, and this is going to be as an RC code. So on this kind of row before, on turn 0, then my ending position is obviously going to be 2RC of this. So in other words, it's row 8 and column 34, so it's 8,034,000. And then, sorry, let's do this. Let's do speed. Whoops, I've got a caps lock on. Let's do speed. Speed starts at 1. And then, what did I do from here? Okay. So actually, this isn't ending. This is visited. Okay. So then, I'm going to say to ref of this on lake. Sorry, of that hash on lake. And I'm going to say switch that. If it's a snowman, we slow down. If it's an icicle, we speed up. No, thank you. And otherwise 0. And then we're going to sum all that and add it to the current speed. And I know that rule is not complete, but I'm going to try and do this kind of like what I did earlier, which is to say I'm just going to kind of start and then start comparing to the example and see how it goes. I could build it in a cleaner way now, having made my way through it once, but try and do it something more like I did at the time. So then here we're going to say, so if the speed is 0, then you don't move, so we'll just say blank. Otherwise, we're going to say this plus sequence, comma, this. So, you know, whatever number the speed is, that's how many steps you take. Times the offset. No, go away, just closing bracket. There we go. So, and just for a second, let's do to address of this. So we start off in AH8, go to AG7, AF6, AG7, get a banana, AF6, get another banana. Okay, so now things are starting to happen. So now we go to AE5 and you collect an ice crystal, which means that starting from the next turn, your speed goes to 2. So now you visit 2 places instead of 1. But I'm pointing to this cell as the starting point, so I just want to flip this. Well, I just realized actually I don't want this to be blank. It's a bother. Okay, so then I'm going to make it slightly more complicated. I'm going to make it ending and visited. So for this, we'll just do that and then carry on like that. So sorry. So then here we'll say take this column -1. That's where you end up. Why did I want to make it complicated like that? I can't remember exactly. Anyway, okay. So So now your speed is 2, so you go to 84 and then AC3. So why are we not 84 and then AC? Oh, because I haven't put the flip on here. Okay, carry it down. So now we get to AC3, hooray. Jumps into a snowman, decreasing her speed by 1 from the next turn, which indeed happens here, good. So then you go to cell AB2, but that's the border of the lake, so you stop. Right, so I haven't factored in stopping for the border of the lake yet, so let's do that. So before we get to the flip then, so these are all the places we go. So we're going to say let, I guess, RCs be that, and then contents will be to ref of RCs on lake. And then I'll call it before stop can be I want to take from RCs and I want to take a number of columns, which is going to be X match. I'm just thinking I put in an L on all the land spaces, but I haven't done that yet. So I want to match this against the contents, but I want to stop the one before, and if there's no land found, then I want to have a land at the end. So the way I'm going to do that is nxt of cont padding with L minus 1. And then I think that'll work before stop. No, you didn't like that. All right. Oh, right, because there are no L's. So let's go fix that now. So we're gonna, oh, look, I've still got my settings here from when I did it earlier. Find blank, find green, replace with L. I just did the format from cell to find the format. So happy days. Now we come back over here. It still says calc. That's more concerning. Okay, so let's just do a couple of other steps here. Let's take this and let's do vstack cont with this. Oh, okay, anything wet? I'm very confused. Okay, so we get 2028. So why is that not behaving? That's an L. Okay, good. Oh, is it NX? Does next not work on just one thing? That would be dumb, but entirely possible. Yes, it is. Okay. All right. Then let's just do hstack cont with L. X match on that minus 1. Okay. And then what do you say for before stop? Still a calc. Really? Really? What's going on here? This is not acceptable. I didn't mess this up so badly earlier. I really didn't. Oh, right. Sorry. Yeah. Now I understand. So it's erroring out because the first place that you step is land, and so you have to say, if error, all of this stuff, then blank. Okay. What a mess. Anyway, okay. So, and then we want to flip it around. And another closing bracket somewhere. Okay, and now this one is going to be if this equals blank, then give me the previous ending cell, otherwise give me this one. Okay, happy days. All right, so then we can fill this formula back up here and it shouldn't change anything, and it doesn't. Hooray. Okay, so then we get to AC3, this one, oh yeah, fine. So just if error of that, then give me where you were before. Okay, so you end your turn on AC3. Okay, now it's moved to speed is reset to 1. So that's important. So what is ref h9 hash? Where is h9 hash? Why is that not highlighted? I'm so confused. Okay, so first things first, this seems to be, oh, I4, so why is that one? I don't know how that ended up being a different formula from the rest, but anyway, okay. So now we're going to say if wait, sorry, confused for a moment here. Oh, fine. So we'll just say if this equals blank, then 0, otherwise all that stuff. Okay, and then we copy that down. So we're staying in the same place. We're not adding any new things to where we visited. So that carries on until the end of that turn. And now, the next turn, we should be resetting our speed to 1. So we want to say if this is different from the turn number before, then 1, otherwise all of that stuff carrying on. Oops, copy down. Okay, so that's our speeds. And now this seems to be getting us nowhere. Is that what it's supposed to do? Speed resets 1. Next 4 turns she's pointing in the northeast direction, but this direction leads to the border of the lake. So she doesn't go anywhere on that whole turn. Okay, fine. Next turn, what happens? Move 3, your speed is reset to 1. Next 4 steps she'll be going in the southeast direction. She goes to 84. Okay, but she's not going anywhere. Why not? AC3. Oh, right, because here I'm pointing to that instead of pointing to that one. So the reason that I split out ending and visited is I don't want any repeats in where I visited, because where I visited is what I use to determine the speed change. So like if I stopped on a place that had an icicle and spent 5 turns bumping against the wall, I would not want to count 5 icicles for that, which is why I split these up. So then this should be pointing at this, not that. That's better. And is this? No, that's a different. Okay. So now we're moving again. Hooray. So we go to 84, empty. Then we go to, well, let's just put this down. So then we go to AE5. The cell used to have an ice crystal, but it was previously collected, so her speed doesn't change. So here I have the speed going to 2. But that is not a newly visited place. So I think I just want to filter this for where it hasn't appeared before. So now we're going to say, I guess I'll call it new, can be filter before stop, where is error x match before stop against to call of all of this stuff above. And I had a slightly different setup earlier where I had like a block here and then another block here. And so I know that I never had to go out to more than 5. There are other ways to do an integrity check as well, but for now that'll do. So to call that 3, x match is error. That's the filter condition, and then if not found, we'll just say blank. Okay, and then this 4 needs to be locked. Everything else is good. Too few arguments. Okay. New is that? Oh, sorry, just didn't put a comma at the end. Boom. Okay, wait. Wasn't that supposed to disappear? It was. Yeah, there it is right there. 5031. Okay. Bother. Is error x match before stop? Okay. So let's just take this for a second. Okay, so then is error is sorry. Ugh, is number. No, sorry. Yeah, so then is error of that should return false. And it does. So then that does not get filtered, so what's the problem? Oh, the Problem is that I'm still referring to the previous step instead of referring to the new step because I'm a clown. Okay, so then we're going to grab this and replace it without. Whee! See how this question is quite hard. Anyway, okay, so then we go to AE. Where are we moving now? Ah, bother. So I need to distinguish between. Okay, so this is not the place to put new things. Shoot. Okay, so I guess I'll put the filter in here instead, in the speed change calculation instead. So let's undo until I've got rid of the if. Okay, so then we'll put it in here instead. Okay, so then we'll say if is error x match this hash against to call of all the things from before, locking in the first row. It's x match that against that. So close the do call, close the x match, close the is error. If it's an error, then that. Otherwise, x, which will just become a 0. Okay, good. So that works, and then that, yeah, that becomes a 1. Happy days. Put that up to there, and I think here as well, yes. Okay. Yep, good. Whew! So complicated. All right. So then we go AE5, AF6, AG7, AF6, AG7. Fine. So now it's moved 4. Speed resets to 1. We go to AF7. Then AE7 hits a snowman. So speed is 0 thereafter. So we stay in AE7. That's good. Stay in AE7 all the way until the end of that turn. Happy days. Okay. And then I think it just says after that, now you continue like that until. And yeah, there we go, AB13. Okay. So that's all that. That's all dynamic. This is not dynamic. So let's just copy these bits down a bunch more. And then let's take to address of this. This has actually taken me longer than it did on the day, which is interesting. I suppose at least part of that is trying to explain. Part of it is probably just I got lucky on the day. Part of it I think is I was trying to be neater here, but actually the slightly more verbose way that I did it earlier was better. Whoa, that's not good. Why on earth is my data table calculating that slowly? This worked absolutely fine earlier. This is interesting. Wait a dang second. What? Oh, okay. So first of all, yeah, this should be take this dynamic array -1, and then that will work dynamically, and then I guess I'm just going to expand that to, let's say, 500 rows with zeros. Just chill out, data table. Just wait a second. And then that should make it straightforward that it doesn't do anything silly. Very strange. Anyway, I'm super puzzled why it's taking so long to calculate this. I guess I won't make you watch, but I will leave the timer running so you can see how long it actually took. So let's. Okay, a quick on pause here to say that it calculated, but 84 gave a spill error, which probably means I haven't left enough space. So we'll put those in there. Oh my gosh, look at how slow that is. Everything's running slow. Oh, and these are wrong. Ah, what? Things did not go this badly earlier. Anyway, let's see what's going on. Sorry, first let's turn off table calculations. And then let's go to 84. Calculated resize spill pass, blah, blah, blah. Wow, that's going so slowly. I'm really confused because in my mind this is substantially the same model I built earlier that ran fast and with no problems. This is what? Okay, now I think my Excel might just be crashing. Oh yeah, something bad is going on here. Why? Because the speed keeps doubling, that's fine, but why if it's not? Oh my gosh, I didn't copy down the thing that removed the duplicates. Okay, well that's not good. So try doing that and see if it helps. And sure enough, it does. And now does it help this? Yes, that's much better. Okay, good. And now does it make my wrong answers right? That would be a real bonus. Yes, it does. Okay. Whew. That went off the rails and took me 10 minutes longer than my live solve. But anyway, got there in the end. Tried to explain a little bit more. All right, that's all I've got for today. I'm going to have a go at the APAC round, which I have not yet seen, on Monday morning, and we'll post it after that. That's all I got for today. Thanks for watching. See you next time.